Christo Greyling, as I mentioned, competed in the U.S. Open, birdied 3 of the last 4 holes to make the cut, ended up finishing it tied for 68. He's a new resident of Shadyside, and he joins us now on the show. Christo, welcome, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and tell us how you're adapting to your new surroundings here. You came from South Africa where it's warm. You lived in Florida where it's warm. It's warm now, but it's going to get cold later, brother.
Hi, thanks for having me. So I hear, but definitely loving my short time in Shadyside so far. Definitely happy to be out of Florida at this point in the year.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Christo? I'm actually heading there tomorrow, right to the heart of it. Well, your old hometown. I'm heading to Orlando.
Nice. Well, I would say I'm jealous, but maybe in 4 months or so.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, you local qualified, sectional qualified to get into the U.S. Open. You birdie 3 of the last 4 holes in the second round to make the cut. Good for you. And I know it was a thrill for you to be in the Open. It was your first appearance there, and to play as well as you did to make the cut. It had to be a big thrill for you.
Yes, definitely. I was very thankful to get to the weekend. A little scary there with me having to come out to finish the last couple holes. I had to go home and sleep on the 3-footer and the 9th hole that I had to finish, but I was somehow able to pull it off. But honestly, I was so excited making the cut that I really didn't care what happened the next couple of rounds, because I had some back problems during the week, so I knew how to lean on my short game heavily. But just when I didn't think things could get better, I got paired with Mickelson on Sunday, so it was definitely the week of my life for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And of course, you told me that your back was hurting because you were doing all that moving out of your place in Florida and moving into your place in Shadyside. You were doing all the moving, and was not always a good thing for the back, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's my fault for being so cheap, but yeah. Had a U-Haul behind my car for about a couple of weeks. Tried to knock out a couple of tournaments on my way up to Pittsburgh, and things turned out a little differently than I expected, but it was nice.
We're talking with Christo Greyling. He played in the U.S. Open, made the cut. He's from South Africa, went to high school in Lake Highland Prep, I believe it was, Christo, right in Orlando, Florida, and there he played with Ty Tryon. And Christo, I said at the top of the show, I had mentioned about at the time you were the top-ranked junior in the country. You had gone to Georgia on a golf scholarship. Monday qualified for a PGA Tour event at the age of 17. And then it's been documented you began taking a medicine for acne, and your game just mysteriously disappeared. You told me you couldn't, 2 months after you taking that medicine, you couldn't break 95. That had to be a strange, bizarre time in your life, I would imagine.
Yes, it was very confusing. I remember sitting on the beach in St. Simons Island where they had a really big amateur tournament at the time. It was one of the biggest ones I've ever played, and that's where I shot these scores, and I got a special invitation to this tournament because of my junior golf accolades. And I just remember walking out to the beach, just kind of staring at the ocean, just thinking, what is going on? I got up and down from everywhere to shoot 95 too. So it was really, really puzzling for me at the time, but I was always encouraged because I was still hitting it fine on the driving range and still got a lot of, support from people. But, nobody, we were all just kind of puzzled how it just went away overnight. But, over the years, you see a lot of players going through a lot of slumps, many players. So, that helped me over time, too. I did realize that, there's plenty of things that happen to all kinds of golfers, and they can be, overcome with time.
And Christo, your instructor David Ledbetter at the time, things were so bad. He wanted you to put the clubs away until you figured out kind of what happened. And the drug Accutane, one of the side effects, I guess I'm told, is depression. And I guess you had said you just felt lethargic. You didn't have any energy. It affected your attitude, everything. It just kind of changed who you were, huh?
Right. Yeah, looking back now, it wasn't a good idea. Confidence is so big in golf and so precious. And, maybe it wasn't worth breaking it down at the time, but, I learned to hit a lot of different shots over the years. My short game got better, my scrambling ability got a lot better, which came in handy last week. But, for Tiger, for instance, right now, if he's injured, if he doesn't feel like he is where he needs to be, there's no point in going out there, especially a guy like him that has so much pressure. Us as golfers, things can change overnight, but usually you have a kind of a good feeling how you're going to do going into a tournament. And if you're wasting your time, it's it can do more damage than good. But then at the same time, you never know when something can turn around overnight.
Christo, how did you work your way back? I know you had said that you just decided you were going to rebuild from scratch, huh? And just try and do that and get back to where you are. And how long was that process? And where are you relative to maybe where you think you should be, or in your career, given everything that's happened?
Right. Over the years, I have this old Jack Nicklaus book that my dad had in the house laying around in South Africa, and I just kind of picked that up and read a little bit about how smart he was, how he's still an aggressive player, but he really had a good plan about how he was going about things. So and I kept hearing it from all the older golfers. They really talk about basics a lot, and building a good foundation and really simplifying things. Because these days there's so many teachers out there trying to come up with a new thing, whether it's stack or tilt or everybody's got a theory. Different ways to do things, but just kind of thought about it. How more mature, older people are always telling you to keep it basic. Don't fix it if it ain't broke, type of thing. So I just started from scratch and just try to start the ball in line again. Just focus on stance, good grip, stuff like that. Things that will promote a good swing. But I've gained a lot more confidence over the last 2 years. There's a lot of damage that was done to my confidence over the years, but I've had some recent success the last couple of years, so I'm definitely excited. I was in a really, really bad spot, 8-9 years ago, so I know things can be a lot worse. So I'm definitely thankful to be somewhat of the right track again.
Yeah, and of course you were out on a nationwide tour, I believe, in 2008. It was correct, Christo? Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then you had. And then all that's happening, and then boom, you get the news about your dad, and it sets you back again. For everything you've gone through, now that happens, and you have to keep moving. And how have you been able to do it?
Right. It was really tough, but really support from friends and family helps a lot. I ran into a lot of families that suffered a similar thing or event, and they just told me that just hang in there. Time is the only thing that can heal it. And I knew my game was a lot better, and I knew I just wasn't into it at the time, even though I was really trying to be. But it requires a lot of energy to prepare for a tournament. You need a lot of energy to practice and things like that. But people just kept telling me that things will get better. And once I got the anniversaries out of the way, the first Father's Day,
right,
his birthday, my birthday, the following Christmas, things started getting a lot better, and started having a lot more fun playing golf. But it was kind of in a way, I've always asked myself, do I really, love golf? Is that the only thing I want to do? And the last couple of years, nothing's interested me, nothing's excited me except for golf at times. So it's kind of a sign that I really do enjoy it, and it's definitely something that I want to do as long as I can.
Was it difficult for you, Christo, last weekend? It's Father's Day. You're playing in the Open. You make the cut. You play the last day with Phil Mickelson on Father's Day. Was that hard for you? 'Cause I know you were asked early in the week about it, but
Right.
was that any more difficult for you on Sunday?
No, honestly, it was great. I was kind of fearing Sunday. I didn't know, if I would act weird or what it would be like. But a year ago we had as a family, it was really tough. That was our first Father's Day. It was really tough. So this year my family was up there with me, and it was just great. We were just so thankful, and we were just in awe that things worked out so great the whole week that we were able to be there on Sunday. makes you think that somebody up there was looking out for you.
I didn't get a chance to follow you on Sunday with Phil, but I watched him on and followed him on Thursday and Friday, and he just hit it all over the place, Christo. And his 74 on Thursday should have been 84. I still say it's one of the greatest rounds ever played. Where he hit the ball, he shot 74 was amazing. And I'm only asking you because that's what was happening with you. And you said, you were just hitting it everywhere, and you had to learn how to scramble, and that's kind of what he did. And Sunday, I'm just assuming much the same still happened, huh?
Right. Yeah, it's funny you said that. I think we did have similar stats. I think the first day I hit 7 greens, at 24 putts, so I was definitely scrambling. But I did see on some highlights that he was hitting his 2-iron in the junk on the first day, but he was definitely bombing the driver the last day, and he actually played pretty well. Yeah, hit a couple loose shots, but he played really well for most of the day.
Christo, what's on your schedule now? You don't have any exempt status. Do you Monday qualify? Do you do some mini tours? What's on your radar?
Well, hopefully some Monday qualifiers in the future. Just giving the back a little rest for a week or so. Luckily, around 4th of July, there's not much going on. I think nationwide tour, and the tour takes a couple weeks off here pretty soon, so that works out good. And then hopefully I can somehow get back in front of those crowds. That was a lot of fun. Never experienced anything like it, and definitely.
And I'm sure you had a big crowd on Sunday with Phil going around.
Yeah, so it's funny. After I made the cut, I figured, okay, I'm dead last. Nobody's going to watch me and whoever I was going to be paired with. So I get to the tee, and it's basically every half of Maryland watching the first hole, and I was like, I told myself, I was like, totally forgot they were first off. Of course, these people haven't seen golf all day, so they followed us for the first few holes. There were tons of crowds, and then yes, on Sunday, it was ridiculous. My family told me they could hardly watch me hit a shot. Especially on the front 9.
Yeah, right. They couldn't get close enough, cool. Right?
Yeah.
Christo, last question for you. I'm curious. It was your first U.S. Open. 19 guys under par since 2000. Since 2000, only 19 players before this year had finished under par total in a U.S. Open. There were 19 under par at Congressional. Were you surprised at the setup? I know for your first one, did you think it would be set up more difficult? Was it a U.S. Open standards? A lot of people, I think, were unhappy that, it didn't play tougher. When it's the Open, they like to see them struggle a little more.
Right. Yeah, it's usually amazing. Those guys really know what they're doing. They know how to set up courses, but this is just kind of a freakish thing where the weather took over. Especially the second, third practice round, you could really tell the greens getting super firm. You could really see the change coming. The first day was very quick, pretty tough. Right. A little windy in the morning. I think they had rain that first day in the evening, or during the afternoon rounds, and then it was moist the rest of the week. Everybody before the tournament started, they said you're never going to fire at pins. You're going to use front yardages from the greens only, and then go from there. But the last 3 rounds was really none of that. I mean, balls were spinning off the greens. You could pretty much go at the flags. And the rough, surprisingly, the rough didn't really get that bad throughout the week. I played U.S. amateurs in the past, and their goal usually is to set it up just like U.S. Open setups. And the rough, the rough definitely wasn't that bad. But I don't know, maybe they're trying to hope that somebody would make it a tournament for Rory, but he obviously has different plans.
Right, yeah, nobody did they? Well, Christo, thanks for coming on. It was nice chatting with you. I appreciate you taking the time, and it was nice to get to see you at the Open, and I hope I catch up with you soon here in the Berg. Lots of luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You got it. That's Christo Greyling, born in South Africa, played high school golf in Orlando, Florida, where he was a teammate of Ty Tryon, once qualified for a PGA Tour event at the age of 17. And now living in Shadyside and trying to work his way back from a mysterious couple years in which his game disappeared, and then as you heard him talk about the death of his father, who had committed suicide a couple years ago. And it's been a long struggle for Christo, but he's a nice kid and he has a great attitude, and he's trying to fight his way back. Lives in Shadyside now, so Pittsburgh will adopt him as one of their own. So it's nice to have somebody from Pittsburgh playing in the U.S. Open.